Hi there, I'm B. Today I want to show you something very cool. How to animate the face of this robot using material instance and blueprints. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that yet. You can get the files for this project if you support me on Patreon. For this example, I created this blueprint character with the robot. This blueprint contains the skeletal mesh of this robot, which I made myself in Blender. I control the face of the robot on the event graph of this blueprint. Let me show you first the skeletal mesh on Blender. It's important to set this model in a specific way. So I have the part of the face, which is this one, the UVs for this part of the mesh in just this square. And I'm using only one texture for all of the faces. As you can see in this example, I can represent how UV coordinates works in a texture. They always start in this top left corner with 0, 0, and they go up to 1, 1 in this corner. So you can only get these values from 0 to 1. And as you can see, U corresponds to X direction, there, and V, which is the Y goes down. Knowing that, and having this type of UV coordinates, we know that the first phase will start here, 00, and ends right there. And we know this is 1, so this first square will be 025, 025. Next one is from 025 to 050, and so on. The last one, for example, is 075, and the same for the rows or the Y direction. So we can play with that in blueprints to make that cute animation. The skeletal mesh has two materials, or in this case, material instances, one for the body and a single one for the face. Let's open first the material. It is this one. So I have all the faces for the basic color, and because I want to control also the emissive color for this robot, I have another texture for the emissive color with a multiply with a specific color, and I have the emissive color as a parameter for the material instance. But we are interested in this part. This is how I control the animation of the face. So we need this node, which is to get all the UV coordinates from this texture of this material and send it to this parameter there to control that offset. Then I've got these two parameters, one for the U's and one for the V's, and I add them to these text coordinates and send them to the UVs. In this way, what I'm doing is moving the pixels of the texture every time with whatever I have here. This append node is just to create the vector, because I cannot plug that directly there. I need the vector. So that's what it is. If you don't know how to make a parameter, it's just a simple of press 1 and press click at the same time, and you have there the parameters. Then you need to convert to parameter and set the name. If you want to create this emissive color parameter, you just simply need to press 3 and click, and then convert to parameter and set the name, emissive color in this case. In order to control this material on blueprints, you need to create the instance material based on that material. For that, select the material, right-click, and create material instance. And I usually use mi underscore and the name, for example, face. If we open that one, we can see that we have all the parameters from the parent material. emissive color, and the U offset and V offset, so we can control this on blueprints. Very handy. This is the one that I assigned to the skeletal mesh. So I can do some modifications on this one. Okay, for example, the emissive color, we can change that to 1, and it will change slightly. Set that to stronger color. It's a bit hard to see, but it's changing. We can also play with the UV offset. For example, let's put a 1 and we change the face. We can set another one and have a different face, and so on and so on. So we can use these parameters on blueprints. Let's open the blueprint. To be able to change the material instance, we need to get a reference first. I have mine right there, which is the type of material instance. And for that, we need to get that from the mesh. So we can drag the mesh, and then get material. We need to go down to get material, and we can set the index. If you remember, the 1 index is the one that we are interested in. So next step is to create a dynamic material instance. If you don't do this step, you cannot modify that material instance. So from the mesh, get material, create dynamic material instance, and finally set the reference. After that, we need to set that face material instance reference, this one, again on the mesh and on the same slot. With that, we can start doing some playing around with those coordinates or those parameters on the material instance. Okay, I have here this small delay to start the animation 2 seconds after this begin play, to also make sure that everything is set and I have this reference properly set. Okay, how do we change those parameters? So we can take the reference, and then we have a very handy node, which is set color parameter value, and we can send the value, and it's important to set the same name as you have on the material instance. Let's go to the material instance. This is one. We know we have U offset and V offset, so make sure to take this name exactly with the case sensitive and set it there. So this will be U offset, and we can set from 0 to 1 or 0.75, any value that we want. So we can set 5 for the U offset, and we can do the same for the V offset. And with those two nodes, we can just change that materials because it's already applied to the mesh again. So anything that we set right there, it will change on the mesh. And that's it. That's how I control the animation. Now, finally, for the animation, I have two integers. One is the selected column, and the other one is selected row. The animation that I'm doing in this case goes from the top to down. So for the V offset, I'm using a timeline animation, and for the column or the U offset, I'm just setting the parameter as it is. So okay, so here I can select which column I want. For example, if I want to start in this one, I set that to column 1. I have these switches to set exactly what is the offset. So for 0 it will be 00, for 1 will be 025 or 2005 for the second column, and last for the last column it will be 075. So again, I need to use the set scalar parameter, parameter name for all of them, and the reference to the face material Insta. With that, I will select any of these columns. For the V offset, as I said, I'm using a timeline for animation. So I created three different ones. Depends on where the V offset is gonna go, I use one or the other. So for example, if the selected row is the first row, the offset value is gonna be 00 because there's not gonna be any kind of animation. Now, for example, for the first row, so let's say we are in this column 2 and we want to go here. Then in this case, I want to show that animation that goes slightly like movement there and ends there and then goes to straight to that. For that, I have the first animation. So this anim goes to the 1, and I know the final step is gonna be 025. So if I open the timeline animation, it starts in 00 for the time 0, starts in 00 and ends in 025. So it does this curve and it will make that animation. And the same for the rest. If I want to go to the second row, I have something similar. Starts in 0 and ends in 0.05. And finally, for the last one, which is the third column, it's the same. It ends in 0.75 and starts in 0. So I use the same principle. I use the switch, and depends on where I go, I'm gonna use one of those animations. Important to play from the start. So if you use that, you can have some errors. So just select this one, and this is the offset, which is the V offset that I'm gonna use for the parameter. And that's it. This uses the update and it's animate. Let's do some tests. For example, let's select from this, which is the second row column, first column, and let's go to the end, which is the third column, third row. And let's compile and let's test. There you go. For example, if we select the third column and the first row, there's not gonna be any kind of animation. It's gonna change straight to there because I selected this one. Yeah, that one. So there's no animation. And that's it. You can use this type of sample, for example, to have different faces. And then you can have a parameter, for example, on the blueprint that says go to sad face, and you can set those columns and rows in the specific places, or go to or animate happy face, and do this kind of things. That's it for today's video. If you consider this video useful, don't forget to subscribe. You can also support me on Patreon. If you like and share this video, it helps me a lot to keep growing my channel and keep doing free stuff. See you next time on the next video. Bye!